What if you could build a web app by just typing what you wanted? No code, no drag and drop, just a prompt. That is the promise of Google's new Firebase Studio. So I decided to test it live. I gave it a simple task: build a to-do list, connect it to an A10, send data to a webhook, and display it back. I think that sounds easy, right? But, and it's a big but, things started breaking. Therefore, I had to debug, I had to reprompt, I had to retest again and again. What I thought would take 5 minutes turned into 35 minutes of wait. Why isn't this working? This video is that journey. It's one part tutorial and one part cautionary tale. My name is Kevin and I build tools and automations so you don't have to do it. In this video, we're going to see if Firebase Studio is ready for prime time, or if it still belongs in the lab.
So over here, I went to studio.firebase.google.com. I get this agreement page, just hit confirm. And I get the prompt. And this is very similar to something like Loveable, in the sense that you get a prompt that you can insert in here, and then this will build the prototype app for you. You can go back and forth and just try and fix any errors that come up and add features using natural language, which is super great. The only difference is that this is free. However, at that cost, which is 0, sometimes comes the back and forth, which is more than what seems to be or what seems to happen in something like Loveable. So there is that disadvantage in that sense, or that compromise that you have to spend more time in order to get this to work the way you want. In addition, if you want to have this in production, you need to pay for it to be hosted, whereas with Loveable, it's included as part of the package that you get. So those are kind of the pros and cons of the two. With that said, over here, let's say if you want to build let's go to ChatGPT, and let's say I want you to give me a prompt that will help me build a web app where a user can insert their to-do list, and then this information is sent via a webhook. This will be one screen. On another screen, we'll have a webhook that goes out to a separate, or we'll have a request that goes out to a, let's say, to the same webhook with a different parameter, to the same webhook with a different parameter to retrieve the information, and then this is displayed in the web app. The webhook, so let's just go to an A10, create a new workflow. Over here, let's just have a webhook trigger. So let's start this and let's grab that. So that's the webhook, and let's just say parameters. We have the save new item, and we have the retrieve items. So then what it would look like, it would look like this. So it's that or that, and let's just copy this, and let's copy the second one. So give me a prompt I can give to a large language model to create this web app. Do not mention specific tag to be used. So what I want is that this will give me a prompt to essentially create what I just defined right there. And once this finishes, I'm just going to copy this, go back to Firebase Studio, and let's just paste this in here. And oops, didn't quite copy that. Let's copy all the prompt, paste it in here. Let's remove that. And let's hit prototype with AI. And let's see what we get. What is good about this is that it's super fast compared to something like Loveable. So this uses Gemini Flash, and here's a plan. Okay, so anyway, this uses Gemini Flash, and this is quite fast, very much faster than building something in Loveable. Again, there's a bit of a compromise that you have to make. Generally, this doesn't look as good as something that comes out of the box with Loveable. So that's it. Prototype this app, and let's see what we get right here. So if I zoom out, this starts creating the code right here. As you can see, the result that is being done and created right now. So it's saying let's prototype this app and creating the different files, setting the changes to them, and so on, so on, so forth. Checking for errors. Let's give it a second. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is just listen for an event here. And let's actually go back to ChatGPT. So here we had one, let's see where we had the piece of information. Probably should be a post, I guess, but let's see. So let's run that. And this will start the workflow. So this was the save new item. So if we have a save new item request, first let's just have an if here. So we can separate these out based on the route or the parameter that we get. Let's actually use a switch here. And let's use the query parameter there. So if I guess if query, maybe we should have like action equals something. So unless we can do if query contains save new item, then this would be one route. The other would be what was it? Save new item. And let's go back to ChatGPT. Retrieve items. So in that case, let's go down the other route. It was an object, but was expecting a. Okay, let's just JSON.stringify this. And now that should fix that. Great. So now we get the save new item information. So we go down this route. So now we have this route. Alternatively, we go down the retrieve items route. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, so here we get a task tracker. We can add tasks, we can view tasks. There's one issue, which, let's see. If we go here, we can fix code. And let's see what happens there. In the meantime, let's see what will happen here. So if we have a save new items, let's just use something like Airtable. So I'm just going to go here to Airtable. And in this case, we'll have a create a report. If we have the retrieve items, we'll have a retrieve or get different items. So this would be either a search or get. Let's use get for now. It's actually search and return all. So we'll set this up in a second. So if I go back here, this doesn't seem to fix the code because I still get one issue right here. So let's fix code. Okay. Still have one issue, but let's try this. So if I hit a task, nothing happens. View task, nothing happens. So I'm going to say nothing is happening when I press add task or view tasks. What I can do is also insert the screenshot over here so that this will know exactly what I'm speaking about. Okay, so over here, I got kind of stuck in a error loop over and over again. I had the one issue here, try to fix it, but it doesn't seem to be fixing it. So now I asked it, why does this error keep happening? It gave me this information, and let's say, so can we fix this once and for all in a different way? And let's see whether this actually fixes it or whether we're stuck and kind of we fail before we even start. Yeah, that might be the case. So over here, still keep getting the same issue. I still keep getting the same issue. Is this not something you can fix? Here's what I suggest. Move the logic for fetching and displaying to-do items to a client component. Ensure the initial state is consistent. Also, we'll try to ensure which is the most foolproof way. So maybe having a, yeah, still get the one error there. Still getting the same error. Let's try step 1 from above. That didn't fix it. Yeah, so as you can see, it's just simply unusable. So we have the add task, okay. We have view tasks, okay. So I mean, it is working, but let's try this. A new task to do. Let's ensure this is listening, and let's disconnect that for now and disable those nodes. So let's test workflow. Let's go back here, hit submit, and here we got failed to retrieve tasks, but this did send the information right here. So here we got item and new task to do. Great. Okay. So if we now go to this, let's just create a newer table. So over here, I'm just going to give this a name. Let's call this Firebase to do. Let's have a delete this. Let's have a record ID here, which is a formula where that is record ID in brackets. And let's just add the task, which is a single line text. So very simple, but we can see whether this works. So this will be the Firebase to do. So let's select that database. Let's just go to table 1 and let's just insert that task right here, which is a new item to do. So drag and drop, and we can test that step. So here we should get great, a new item to do. So now, if we get a request to get the information, let's go back to home. Okay, so this is now not working. So back to home is not working. Back to home is not working. Okay, that worked, I guess. Review tasks. Okay. Okay, so when we hit view tasks, that did actually work because we got some information right here. So here we got the retrieve items as the data we got sent, which means we can actually retrieve information and then potentially send a webhook back, or respond to webhook, or use a respond to webhook node in order to send information back. So here we'll have the respond to webhook, and let's just over here choose the same list from before, this Firebase to do, and let's just return all the information for now. So here we have an issue. I need to obviously choose the list. So table 1, let's test this. And here we got no data for some reason. So here we have all that. Should return this. Retrieve items. Let's try this one more time. So, okay, let's try it once more. Let's test the workflow. Let's view tasks here. And over here, so we got that record. Let's return this. Okay, so let's just say that, let's make a change here. Let's go to JSON. Let's grab this, copy selection, and then Firebase is going to say, when you attempt to get the to-do list, this is the information that will be returned from the webhook. Your job is to display the items under the task key. Your job is to display the values under the task key. So let's add this. Okay, this said that did that. So let's just hit test workflow. Let's go back here. Let's go back to home. Let's view tasks. Okay, so this sent information, but for some reason this still didn't get anything. So let's see over here. Let's respond with all incoming items. Test this once more. Back to home, view tasks. Still getting failed to retrieve stuff. So, all right, let's try and do something simple here. Respond with test. And let's see whether it's an A10 problem or a Firebase problem. Yeah, we're still getting failed. Failed to retrieve tasks. So I keep getting failed to retrieve tasks. Can we add logging? Okay, so let's open up inspect here. Let's get the console. Let's run this and let's set view tasks. So we're getting this information here. Set the request to no more. I don't know what that means, but let's just grab this. Let's go to ChatGPT, paste that in there. And I'm going to say, I'm trying to get a response back from a webhook, but I keep getting this error. This is the information from the console. Is this an N8N problem, or is it a problem in the software I'm using to develop the web app? Course policy error. What it means, your front-end app is trying to call an external endpoint on N8N, but the server isn't allowing that call due to course restriction. Syntax error. So there's a bunch of errors. Fix course N8N side. You need to configure N8N to accept requests from your front-end's origin. If you're self-hosting, make sure the webhook you're hitting exists. It is correct. Handle non-JSON responses in your front-end. So let's just grab that, paste this in here. So copy that, paste this in here. Let's try this first. Okay, so did this update anything? So make the changes. This is what I meant in terms of free versus, or what it means that if you're running this free thing, you probably have to spend a bit more time going back and forth to try and fix this. So probably if I were using Loveable, I would have spent some credits, obviously, but maybe this would have been, or it wouldn't have been an issue. Let's see. View tasks. Yeah, still getting this failed to retrieve tasks. Even though I'm turning this right here. Let's just try and respond with task. And here I'm just going to insert the task that we got from our table, which is this right here. So let's just paste that in there. And let me just tell Firebase that this is what it can expect. So let's save that. Let's try make this simple. This is what you'll get from the webhook as a response. I've made the code changes requested. Yeah, still getting that. So here we're getting the right data from the webhook. If we look at the console, data received from the webhook task and new task to do. However, data received from webhook is not an array. Okay, so let's just grab that, paste that in here. I'm getting this console log. Please provide the console log you are seeing. That's what I just did, didn't I? It's weird. Back home, view tasks. Yeah. So we're still getting this course policy error, which I'm curious, because I know, yeah, there's this allowed origins course. I mean, this is saying allow everything, so I'm not sure why this is complaining here. Let's just grab this. Let's just grab all the information. Okay. Let's put this in here. Here's the console log. It's just test workflow, back home, view tasks. Yeah, still getting the same error. Still getting the same error. So yeah, when you spent 21 minutes trying to create this very simple webhook and webhook response, maybe this isn't quite the tool that's ready for production. But then again, we just got the information right here. Okay, cool. That worked. Let me try with multiple return inputs. So let's just try now with set up this on task. Let's say that let's add another task first. So let's test the webhook, add task. This is the second item. Hit submit. Okay, so here we're back to fail to retrieve tasks. Over here we get the second task added. Yep. So that worked. Now the issue or the curious thing is that obviously, yeah, because this tried to run this once more. So now let's just hit test workflow and let's try and retrieve the tasks. That's weird though, because it should have just worked since we didn't change anything in the webhook here, right? This is still sending the same thing. So this is now sending just this is the second item rather than this is the first one. So that is pretty weird. View tasks. Not sure if I said this correctly, but it seems like it just got the information and then just said fail to retrieve. Oh yeah. For some reason, the output is displaying the right information and then switching to fail to retrieve tasks. Please fix. So again, yeah, it is quite fast, but if it's fast but doesn't work, I mean, might as well be slow, I guess. Okay, so now what? This is the second item. So what if we respond with, I don't know, let's aggregate the task field. So now, if it does this, try I want to aggregate task. So why is the output still like this? Let's just test workflow. Let's go here, back to home, view tasks. Yeah, obviously this wants this to respond, so let's do it again. Back home, view tasks. The value is not supported. Okay, let's try this again. Aggregate. So here, from your table, we have two tasks, right? Yep. Input field name. Oh yeah, great. So now we get an array of tasks. So now, if we hit this again, back home, view tasks. Okay, so now we have a different output here. Or rather, we should have, I guess. So the response body, let's just pass this tasks array. So now we can say that this will be the output. Copy selection. The webhook will now return an array of tasks. Your job is to separate the items in this list and display them on the to-do list page. This is an example of a potential response. Should enter. Let's test workflow. And let's see here. So I'm back home. The HRC from webhook is not in the expected format. Okay. So test, view tasks. How and now we get the fail to fetch once more. So it's not in the expected format, isn't it? It is an array here. Okay, let's grab this information. And let's just say this isn't displaying the data. Error, HTTP error status 0. That's not a good thing, I guess. So just take a screenshot of this. Getting this error. So again, I just wanted to record a video to see if this Google Firebase Studio could be a solution for those trying to build web apps without much coding experience. But I guess based on this experience within the last 30 minutes or so, I would say that it isn't. So let's try this. We got an internal error. Because then again, this is a very simple thing that I'm trying to do. So shouldn't really, getting internal errors here. Now we have 3 issues over here. We'll try and fix these. hydration failed. So we're still back to this hydration issue. Which I don't know, maybe it's not even an issue. So I was trying to fix this, but it seems to be stuck as well. Let's have a look at the other errors. So we got this HTTP error, status 0, which might be the... So these seem to be the same type of error, status 0 here. So let's try and once this comes back, because at the moment it seems to be stuck. Are you stuck? And there's it doesn't seem to be. Yeah, I'm experiencing difficulties. So let's go back to this right here. If we had fix errors. Okay, let's try and see if we can fix this HTTP error, which seems to have been generated when we're trying to return an array. So let's test the workflow here. Let's go back to home. View tasks. Yeah, we're still getting this HTTP error 0. I'm getting this error. Why? So here we're sending all the information that we need to send. I'm sending the error right there. However, we're getting this HTTP 0. I mean, the client, your Next.js application, couldn't reach the server, which is your webhook. I mean, not really. Okay, now we got 2 items, but they seem to be empty.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
So this is what I now see. Test workflow. Yeah, still getting the failed to fetch. We're back to getting the failed to fetch. And turn error occurred. Yeah, I mean, I don't like to give up on any project, but I think this will be one of those. Let's try view tasks once more. Yeah, we're still getting the fail to fetch. So, getting failed to fetch error. It is making some major changes here, I guess. Yeah. So we're not getting the fail to fetch error, but we're not getting any data either. So not getting the fail to fetch error anymore, but not getting the items shown on the page. And over here, we are getting the data, the array back from N810. So I'll just try this, and if this doesn't work, this will be the end of this project. So let's test the workflow. Let's go back to home, view tasks. Yeah, same thing. So, I know, because sometimes we get this fail to fetch, other times we get the empty bullet points. This is a weird one. So over here, we're still getting the right data back. We're just not getting it displayed correctly. I'm getting the right data back from the webhook, but it's not displaying correctly. Please fix. Let's go back here, test the workflow. Just thinking. and thinking some more. Hello. Yeah. Okay, I'm here to help. Like maybe fix the issue. I don't think going all sarcastic on it is going to fix the issue, but I think it's worth a shot. Nope. Still nothing. Still nothing. Why do you think the returned data from the webhook isn't being displayed? Let's try and interview it. I've made the code changes as requested. I mean, it would be good if we just have a clue as to why it's not working. Oh yeah, we're back to the fail to fetch. Even though we're getting this here. Yeah, super weird. Anyway, it's been 35 minutes of me trying to do something and failing over and over again. So this view tasks seems to be an issue. And yeah, we're getting that hydration thing that doesn't seem to be able to be fixed, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to be a critical error. And we get the fail to fetch error as well. So I'll just try this one last time, because that seems to have been fixed, because we now get only one issue. So let's hit view tasks. And yeah, we still get the fail to fetch. So definitely not working.
So, was Firebase Studio the no-code game changer we hoped for? Definitely not, but also not yet. It's fast and it's promising, but it's also buggy, it's limited, and it's not quite production ready. The idea is genius. The execution needs work. I'll keep testing it, and if it improves, you'll see it here first. In the meantime, if you've run into the same course errors, the same data fetching issues, or the same hydration bugs, whatever that might mean, drop a comment below, and I would love to troubleshoot this together. And if you want more videos like this, real builds, real tests, no sugarcoating, hit the like, subscribe buttons, and join me the next time. Because sometimes the best way to learn is to break things first. I'll speak to you in the next video.